Welcome to the Patriot Hour. This is Michael, your host for 6/9/2018. We got some updates to go over here. We got Ben in the studio. We're going to get right into it, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Patriot Hour. If you're new, thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking in. Please subscribe, maybe ring the bell after the video, like, thumbs up. Check the description box. We'll leave pretty much any of the links that we go over in the description box. So we got Ben in the studio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to be back in the studio. It's been a little while. Get my feet wet again.
Yes, we are here to do a little update video for you out there. We didn't really know. We were kind of discussing what we would possibly maybe get into, and we said, hey, let's just shoot from the hip.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, it was interesting. I know that some of the conversations we've had kind of offline, just brainstorming, whereas, there's no, nobody's at fault, nobody's, anything can kind of go type thing. And we were talking about there was a narrative of where some of these people had Trump had put them in place, they were doing something, whatever, then he kind of uncovered something else, or not so much himself, because it's his administration you're talking, it's the military intelligence, what they're doing as well, and how these things are trying to kind of uncover. And I remember one of the points you had made, or we were making, was you go into this, any businessman who's going to go into any type of venture that has high risk, high probability, and if you can't account the presidency as one of the most stressful, high risk, high probability in a lot of different areas, you're going to prepare yourself before you even start to the race. It's almost like if you're a long distance runner, you're not just going to go up to the line like, let's go, boys, I'm going to win this race. And so he probably knew, and this is just shooting from the hip, in my own opinion, somebody who had that amount of resources to gather intelligence, because anybody who has half a brain and can look on the internet can go find stuff if you just have enough time and patience to find it. And he probably knew, coming into the race, I got some of these dirt things I'm going to be, and this is what's going to be going on. And as he's unpeeling the onion of evil, if you will, he's discovering that. Because I remember we were talking about, like, months ago, there was 15,000 plus indictments, and that's still a very staggering number. But then if you we were looking it up a couple days ago, what it is currently, it's like what,
35,000 plus, I believe.
It's like, if that's not a good smack in the face wake up call, like something is going on. It isn't like.
Well, it is. It's been dropped and talked about military intelligence versus NSA, CIA.
The acronym.
Why, what? It's like all these leaks that we've had in the past few years. I've talked about it. They've come out of the civilian agencies. Not ever really from the military intelligence. It's
not
always
from the horse's mouth.
And they're all gathering intel. There's like 13 of them, I think. We came up with, or 12, 13 different secret intelligence gathering agencies in the U.S. And the military does have higher levels than like the NSA and CIA. They get a lot. The NSA gets a lot, but then the military gets exactly what they get and a little more. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Lately, these past presidents have always aligned probably with either the CIA or we got your in. There's going to be some people that you're going to work directly with that'll give you this. But
these guys know how to throw out regimes, how to stack up new regimes.
Yes.
This is their normal. Some of these guys, this is their job title.
You were referencing like Trump. He's worked with the FBI in the past. We know that.
Yeah, talk about that when it came to Reno, because this is also ties into the preparing your race. If you know you're going to do something.
The story goes back, and I have a video specifically on this, probably 8 or 9 minutes, and it's from months ago, but I haven't watched that in a while. But anyway, Trump. He in the late 70s, he was looking to build his Atlantic City gambling. So down there in Georgia is that Atlantic City or
Well, I think it's Reno, Nevada, which is like the biggest little city they call it. Is that what that is?
Is it,
I
or-
don't take. I mean, I don't know if it was on Reno. Or one of these. Yeah, let's see what the old inner.
New Jersey, right?
New
So,
Jersey, okay, Atlantic City. That's
I think. Well, I'm just thinking that was his first one. Not that he doesn't have
multiple ones, of course. This is just a.
Okay, so look at this. Well, whoops. So how did that get all up here? What's going on? Whoa. Hold on here, folks. Little technical difficulties, but nothing too major. All right. What was that other thing?
Getting a little passionate here.
In multi-view. Shut that. All right. So here we go. Trump Plaza is closed, and a casino on a casino on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, owned by Trump Entertainment Resorts. So it operated from May 15th of 84 until September 16th of 2014.
Ooh,
So let's see if we can find a little more Trump
FBI.
casino art of the informant.
Is that what it is?
Trump's tied to the FBI informant. Washington Post. So that's lots of people like to.
It's a very reputable.
Okay, so look, September
media-
17th to 16, right? This kind of dropped on this site anyway. Ooh. Get away. Trump's ties to a informant FBI agent reveal his mode. We don't have to read this whole thing, but let's see here. So Trump listened skeptically at his labor consultant bragged in the early 1981 about connections to New York underworld. Daniel Sullivan, I remember that name. That was one of these guys who dealt with labor problems for Trump on probably multiple construction sites.
Yeah, exactly. Multiple sites.
So, 42-year-old giant of a man with great charm and criminal record, he told Trump he was tight not only with leaders of the unions, but some of the fronts of the mob, but also with the FBI. Trump was dubious.
Yeah.
He was a big storyteller, Trump recently told the Washington Post. He portrayed himself to be closest person on the earth to the FBI. It turned out Sullivan was telling the truth. One day in April 81, he walked into Trump Manhattan office with two men in suits. They were FBI agents, and they wanted to talk to Trump about organized crime. Trump welcomed them in. That meeting came to a pivotal time early in Trump's career when he was trying to establish himself as a Manhattan developer and an Atlantic City casino operator. Trump soon deepened his interactions with Sullivan, who turned out to be an FBI informant, and cultivated a friendship with one of the FBI agents, a young investor named Walt Stowe, who was one of Sullivan's handlers. Here, you go ahead and read some of that.
Yeah, because it says over the next few years, Trump, Sullivan, and Stowe forged a triangle of mutually beneficial interest as Trump. Mutually beneficial interest. We're talking the FBI. Anyways, Trump sought to grow a casino and his real estate empire. So it's already been well before he was even in the presidency or even thinking about presidency. He already understands about bringing somebody in who knows or has some connections with some type of investigative organization that says, hey, there's union. He talks about union. Who is the head of all these unions? All these mob guys. So do you think he wants to have a casino and actually build his reputation as all this stuff? And then like, oh, by the way, we're going to be doing ties with mobsters and things like that. No, he's protecting his fourth point of contact, his rear end and his back end. So he wants to have a reputable reputation. And so it says quite clearly, quotes, it tells us the story of the entrepreneur, the informant, and the FBI offers new insight to the man who would be president. Now, of course, this isn't old, and thank God that he
25
is.
years
Yeah.
previous, or 30.
So it even says,
Well, this is a little different because I thought it got leaked or somebody through WikiLeaks. I'm not sure on that, but the story I read was a little different that Trump went and pitched. This might be the story they got from somebody else. But again, we all know two people looking at the same
two FBI
things.
guys came to Trump Tower and they want to talk to him. What they said behind closed doors and what
See,
they
look at
talked
this.
to him.
Look, but FBI reports at the time, along with the recent statements by Stowe, contradict that assertion. A report from September 22 of 81 said that agents have repeatedly told Trump they were not references for Sullivan and cannot speak for sources' business dealings. Though Sullivan once described Trump as an old friend, the two had a falling out in the mid-'80s. Sullivan later testified in court against Trump for a civil case for illegal immigrants as laborers in Manhattan. Trump denied.
Which is probably another thing that was totally unfounded by something else of his many. Because here's a guy who's doing multiple construction sites. This was one of many.
Well, the story did go, though, that Trump was interested in doing business in Atlantic City, but he knew the mob would come in and want to interact the way they do.
Yeah, this was
It was a well-known thing in the 80s or something.
And whoever this guy was or turned out to be or not to be, that there is still an FBI, and at least in this particular article, and there may be other articles that may paint the narrative a little bit differently than this one does.
Yeah.
However, is his behind police record were ominous rumors, some fueled by Sullivan himself. He told stories about us early, so we don't know if this guy.
And that was Trump. This one said Trump was going in there.
Yeah, he was
yeah.
going
So it's the same story.
It's the same
this is
story.
very similar.
Yeah, they're using the same.
And we didn't read it all, but I'm gonna say that he basically was interested and pitched out a story to him like, the mob's gonna be up my butt. This is how they operate, and you guys should have some undercover people being dishwashers, laborers, pit bosses, shufflers, whatever. And they agreed that, well, if you end up wanting to build, come back. And
it's a mutually beneficial agreement. Hey,
so he let the mob in, he let the FBI in. In the end of it all, Trump was going to be standing, which he did. And,
standing tall with clean, squeaky clean, because,
very good idea.
Good guys got the bad guys, and the businessman still is a businessman. And so I think using that example,
we're trying to say
that, well, why wouldn't you do the same idea?
Well, we know in the last administration, there was a lot of leaks when it was beneficial to one party, or Obama almost had it to where there would be leaks or things that were bad on Trump. And I mean, there was things coming bad out on Hillary. They couldn't stop this, but this has kind of stopped. If it's all true, Trump's operating in a manner where they're not going to talk about ongoing investigations anymore. The news is scrambling because they're not getting leaks like they used to. They've pretty much ousted lots of people. Leakers have been getting arrested now. The news is... before it's like, well, this is WikiLeaks, folks. This is really bad. You shouldn't be looking at it yourself,
like
but you tune in over here and we'll tell it to you.
Exactly.
But when the leaks are not WikiLeaks against the person they like, they run with them. This whole last year, we know they were leaks from inside the intel. That's illegal.
Well, very clear.
And they don't talk about that no more. They just run with what it is.
Well, and then another thing too, you can start to see what information has come out in the last year, and even in the last administration. We know that Obama has quote unquote said very mean things and slang mud at Clinton. Well, that was for his getting reelected. That was, of course, he was doing the Pinocchio song and dance.
Yeah.
As his nose is growing longer and longer. I thought what was really interesting, getting back to this whole Trump. And I'm again just shooting from the hip, logically thinking you're stepping into this. You're going to be doing something here. He's talking about this G7 that you just covered. I believe was your last video.
Yeah, a little clip of.
A very interesting point that was brought up with the fact that the acronym investigation agencies, and we all know who they are. And there's 13 of them. They have been washed. They have been. Soiled. They've been corrupted. Any of these different languages, and like you said, and as prior military individuals, we understand that when you join the military, even if it's like, well, it's jail of the army. Okay, well, you're still going to build moral characters. You're going to have that kind of stuff. Or it was like, well, I was going to be welfare my whole life, or maybe I can go in the army. And everybody has their reasons why they went into the Navy or the military or anything. But the bottom line is, once you get in there, you start to understand. Wait, I take an oath. Well, this is some pretty powerful stuff. Like, I have to actually give up part of my constitutional rights. Hey, I'm a piece of property of the United States now, and now I'm fighting for somebody else's rights that I don't personally have. And most people don't quite understand that. I can remember when I was sitting there taking the oath, with your right hand up, and you're being sworn in as that, you start saying like you're a military piece of property. You no longer have the ability to say free speech anymore. You give up your First Amendment. Why? Because you're a soldier. You don't have the right to badmouth your superior officers, and as a commander-in-chief, his whole administration. So as a military mind, when you start getting into the investigations, like you said, how they have, the way they conduct their investigations, not only on top of that, the plethora of information, because it's almost like, who's higher? CIA?
Yeah. Well, they're keeping it to the core now. This is an actual... I think they're operating in an elevated. Trump said it publicly in speeches to people. Our military is operating in an elevated position right now, which they've never really been. They're in an elevated level.
Well, didn't he lift?
Elevated.
Didn't he lift some
Yeah,
laws
some
allowing
special little
allowing the military?
There's investigations going on because of there's treasonous. There has been found to be treasonous things at the heads of the CIA, at the heads of the FBI.
This is huge.
At the head of the DOJ. So these are huge when you have the judicial system over here that's supposed to like actually punish somebody for a crime, and then you have the investigative system here, and they colluded, and that makes that, let's say, a military. The president, he's getting. I mean, most presidents, if you're big enough and if you sat there and didn't do much work for the country and just put in paperwork, you could probably dig and get special authorization to give yourself access. But this has all happened kind of naturally for Trump because of what has been found. And it was probably on his incoming with the works of some good embedded patriotism.
I'm tracking.
4-star, some really highly, well thought out people. And like Q gets into here, we can look at a few of these, older ones.
Last year's.
This is just 2 days after he initially started posting on the 28th, on the 29th, like the number 12. Military intelligence reference above is the absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. So that's just a reference to the MI, Remember, the FBI, this is post 10, folks. Remember, the FBI and military intelligence have an open investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Why did Comey drop this? Who was the FBI director during the Haiti crisis? How many kids disappeared? How much money sent to the Clinton Foundation under disguise of help, relief, relief went to H? I don't know.
Human relief went to humans.
Human relief went to actual humans. What countries donated big money to Clinton Foundation and why? How much money was that? So, I mean, this is coming up again. This person that just got found to be dead, that lady, Kate Spade, I think she had ties to Haiti and was...
Something to do with organizing, because there was a lot of things that I remember that you were like, don't donate to this person or that, don't text this to that. There was only a few foundations that you could really donate through that was actually sponsored by the government or certain foundations.
Here we go, folks. I'm not even showing them this. We're still on us, but here we go. So here we just read 10. Number 11, military intelligence versus FBI, CIA, NSA.
There you go.
No approval or congressional oversight. State secrets upheld under, what's that? Special conditions or
Secretary Clinton, I don't know.
Yeah. State secrets upheld under Secretary Clinton. No, who is the commander-in-chief of the military?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Under what article can the president impose military intelligence takeover?
Oh, see, that was why he was...
Investigations for for the 3 letter. This is what we get into. What conditions must present itself? Why is this so very important? Who surrounds POTUS? They lost this very important power, the one area of government not corrupt and directly serves POTUS.
Because he is the commander-in-chief directly of the military, and these generals directly report to him. There is no middleman. There's no fudging of the numbers. I mean,
Supreme Court.
There you go. So, well, that doesn't get any more hard than that. So
what is this? Let's go ahead and read this, Ben. Who is the commander-in-chief?
Oh, yeah. The President of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief of the military. Boom. The Chief is General John Kelly, President of the United States, Chief of Staff, a Marine. So he's been a veteran, okay. Under what article can the President impose military intelligence takeover investigations for the 3-letter agencies? If I read that, okay. So it says the Insurrection Act, which is a huge act, by the way, allows the President to use military and, if needs be, National Guard as a police force in the event of, 1, terrorist attack. We've never seen that except for like 9/11, stuff like that. Natural disasters. They're talking, Hurricane Katrina, and this is a big one here. And disorder that state police cannot contain. So that would be like mass rioting that has happened before that nobody called
all of which have happened in the first 8 months of Trump's presidency.
All.
Wow.
So, specifically, the Las Vegas massacre was a great opportunity to impose these powers. 9/11 style. Example. Since the cover story crumbled so quickly. The fact they didn't intervene suggests that something is going on behind the scenes. So it's got to be something bigger and better. Military intelligence versus the big three. No current approval of congressional oversight as state secrets are withheld under Supreme Court. The president can impose, again, military intelligence takeover investigation. Now, this also ties into, I believe, post 30 on the Q board, that where he talks about
Military intelligence does not answer to Congress.
Nope.
Has most access to mined data and classified information. They have the best information gathering tools. They also have more power in general and devoted to the Constitution.
Amen.
Military intelligence can take over the investigations for the other three in cases of high treason. The State Secrets Act was upheld in the Supreme Court, United States versus Reynolds, 345 U.S. 1, 1953, acknowledging the right of the government to exclude evidence in trial that may harm national security. The president is the commander-in-chief of the military, and the chief of staff is General John Kelly, a Marine. The president can use military and National Guard, as stated above, as police force in the event of terrorist attack, natural disasters, and disorder that the state police cannot contain.
So what we're talking about here is possibly, not possibly, we even see some of the stuff as treasonous behavior. So I think it's in, was it post 30, I think he goes into, where he talks about...
Well, here's one too. Again, go read that one, 14, a little bit of it. We can...
Okay, so of course there's the crossing of the Potomac, the picture. Okay, military intelligence. What is state secrets, and how to withheld in the Supreme Court? What must be completed to engage military intelligence over the three-letter agencies? What must occur to allow for civilian trials? Which is very important, by the way. First, because civilian trials, that means they're open to the public. Everybody can see them. They're not behind executive closed doors where it's all a hearsay. Okay, continuing. Why is this relevant?
That's crazy.
You know, what is Flynn's background? Why is this relevant? Why did Adam R.
Admiral R.
Or Admiral... Who's that?
I don't know, the Admiral R, NSA.
NSA guy, yeah. Meet Trump primarily without oath. Is this off the record, by the way?
Meet Trump privately without authority. Authorization.
Authorization.
Okay. Okay.
POTUS, Does POTUS know where the bodies are buried? I think the president does. Does the president have the goods and most bad actors? Was Trump asked to run for president? Why? By who? Was Hillary Rodham Clinton next in line? Was the election supposed to be rigged? Did good people prevent the rigging? Why did the President of the United States of America form a panel to investigate? Has the President ever made a statement that did not become proven as true or fact? Was the President in control of? What is the President in control of? What is the one organization left that isn't corrupt? Military intelligence, in my opinion. Why does the military play such a vital role? What is the president surrounded by highly respected generals? Who guards the former president? Why is this relevant? Who guards Hillary Rodham Clinton? Why is Antifa allowed to operate? Who hasn't been MB, military, what is that? MB been classified as a terrorist org?
Muslim Brotherhood,
Muslim Brotherhood, okay. What happens if Soros-funded operations get violent and engage in domestic terrorism? What happens if mayors, police, communicate chiefs do not enforce the law? What authority does the president have specifically over the Marines? Which is a good point. Why is this important? What is Mueller's background? Military? Why Trump asked to run for president with assurances made to prevent tampering? How is the president always 5 steps ahead? Who is helping the president of the United States of America?
Think about that, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if we're to believe that, we would know that Trump was selected and that he was probably guided in a similar path to what we're all been guided in now. This is probably around version 2.0 of what he might have went through. Let's put it that way. We're on version 2.0. He did it maybe deeper, longer. I don't know.
We're getting the baby food. He had the full course meal. So
I mean, I couldn't imagine. But so let's go into a few of those. Why does the military play such a vital role? That's kind of, some of these are self. So was I right on that? Michelle Bachmann.
Michelle Bachmann. Okay.
So I wasn't.
Okay. So Huma. Okay.
Soros, we know that. What authority does oppose? So here's that Marine one. Let's look at that. Marine Corps Law 1834 gives President authority over Marines for any duties President sees fit.
Oh, that's the president's private army.
As outlined in 10 USC
United States.
Code. United States Code.
Pull that up real quick. I don't know. Let's see.
5063, and it was originally introduced under the National Security Act of 1947. 3 primary areas of responsibility for the Marine Corps are seizure or defense of advanced naval bases and other land operations to support naval campaigns, development of tactics, technique, and equipment used by amphibious landing forces in coordination with the Army, Air Force, and such other duties as the President or Department of Defense may direct.
So it's really open-ended. So look, if I've got some like
Why is that important?
indictments, yeah, because of the Marine Corps' responsibility is to protect the president and the U.S. dignitaries abroad. And technically, the Marine Corps doesn't really protect the president in a direct fashion. That is up to the Secret Service detail. The Marine Corps does, however, have a sole responsibility of transporting President by helicopter to Air Force One or Camp David or anywhere else he may need to go within reach of the Marine One source. If answer to number 31 is correct, Trump can send Marines without asking Congress. Isn't that what happened in Vietnam?
And Mueller was background is military. He went to Parris Island, officer candidate school, Army Ranger school, and Army jump school. He enlisted in the USMC and served in the Marines from 68 to 71.
So he's
We never
well
heard
aware. Yeah.
we never heard trust Mueller, but remember I said that, and we don't know if he's one of these. I don't know, folks.
You know, you still could be a veteran. You still could have done this.
He might have.
Still
He might have been blackmailed,
Yeah,
but he's
who
been
knows?
set free, and he's working to look like he's again. We talked about why Sessions. Everyone's like, oh my God, they say trust Sessions. Everyone else is like, I don't know, but again, Sessions is a Republican. Trump's supposedly a Republican. I think Trump's more of a constitutionalist, but he's in that platform. He ran under that.
Yeah, that's.
But why don't him and Sessions get along on TV? They're doing a good show. There's investigations going on. You don't want, Sessions ain't running the, he recused himself, but still, you don't want these relationships to be good with Mueller and Trump,
collusion.
Sessions and Trump. It's all got to look good and to be fair.
I think
if
you
they're
were saying
buddy, it would be they're both Republicans. Or
He's biased.
Yeah.
I mean, so exactly. That's another one of a tactics is distance yourself publicly from somebody if you need them to be a legitimate voice to say either with you. Because if he wants this guy to stand on his own 2 feet, and they're like, well, we don't really ever. In fact, we've seen him and Trump actually not really get together, or maybe not see eye to eye on some things. And at this point in time, they may have to distance themselves, almost like a workspace relationship that nobody's supposed to know about. So at work, we got to distance ourselves, and nobody can know about it. We're still kind of winking on the side. And,
Exactly.
Hey, did you see that thing? Yeah, we got that thing.
Who's helping POTUS? NSA and military intelligence and aligned persons around the world in and out of governments and businesses. How is the POTUS always 5 steps ahead? Excellent intel from multiple sources. Military intel, NSA, leaks.
So it looks like that there's still some, he's still getting some type of intel from the NSA.
Well, this is just the answers from Anons and Broken Down Bakers, and I give them the benefit, but I'm sure there's a few people within these agencies that are patriots.
Said it before. It's like, there's
rank and files, folks, are good.
There's still good people that has good-hearted person. I mean,
Admiral Rogers.
But like you said, this is the admiral, the leaders, the directors, the vice directors. These people who are like pretty much give the final say to the president or to the president's cabinet or his administration, and to make you're going into North Korea and you're going to be getting some crazy stupid wrong disinformation from the CIA, and you held out your left hand, you're supposed to do your right hand, but the military intelligence they will not. So it's almost like you're going for a more truthful source, and you're going from a more reputable. It's like, what's the old adage? It's really easy to lose my trust and extremely hard to gain it back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like after a while, if the FBI keeps finding all these directors and all this kind of stuff, the trust isn't there anymore. And I think that's one of the other main reasons why Trump did get elected, is because we're so sick and tired of all these years. It comes out, well, nah, see, he was a bad guy. Yep, see, he was a bad guy. Oh, she was dirty. Oh, my gosh. And this stuff is coming out. It's rigged. Well, it's supposed to be rigged. That's just welcome to our government. It's all rigged. And so it's like, for so long, we've been accepting the fact that every politician sweet talks us, and then you're going to take us from the corner and take all of our money.
Yeah, they talk to you, and they got their, they'll talk to you over here, look over here, and then hand in your back pocket, right?
It's almost like but Obama had his whole platform and it was black, and it's like, well, wait a minute, isn't your mom white and your dad's black? Okay, so are you straight up do you represent the black population that have both black moms and black dads? I'm like, no, and I'm not banging that as well, or I'm not being mean to that. I'm just saying, let's be realistic on what happened. Was he the first racially mixed president? No. In fact, he wasn't. There was many presidents, look back in our history, who had some Cherokee in them, had some different, different people from had Mexican in them, had Spanish in them. So it was like, no, we've had multiple racially mixed presidents, and this isn't and so it's like, it's the first time that somebody, like we're doing tonight, shooting from the hip. It's almost like the first time that somebody's actually spitting out truth as I want hope it to be.
But in this whole environment too, sometimes just sitting there for the first time like that, I can't remember the last time I read that one that had the picture above it. That just kind of struck me pretty heavy too. It's like, woof.
This is a
lot of people are like, oh God, you're going back to old ones. Well, these are relevant, right? We're just looking at them, right? Some of this is coming back up today.
Well, this is gonna end. I mean, all this coming out is going to end, and I think the indictments are like the crescendo, if you will.
I've heard this whole thing is going to head. We got this Spygate, all this spying stuff, but I think the eye of the spy is going to be at a headburst, and that's this date of maybe June 11th, or who.
Well, that really post was really critical, but it says, why does it need to be in civilian courts? And the one thing that we haven't had for any administration, and for the last almost, I would say, 50 plus years, is transparency. We don't know what happens behind these closed doors, and this is something that we're going to get into the executive session, Your Honor, and so every question is, well, we're going to get into the executive. I'm like, well, geez, when are you guys going to actually answer a question to where when you're in civilian court? I mean, I'm letting your listeners know that you're gonna be able to see this stuff on C-SPAN. We're gonna be seeing people go in handcuffs that you thought were they're gonna change the world. Yeah, on C-SPAN, getting handcuffed and walking out. What do you got here?
Oh man, I think I just lost it. I don't know what happened. It was funny. It said everything had been crafted to be precision. Coordinated efforts to silence it only get worse, all for a LARP.
No, it's definitely interesting because, this stuff, it's going to be coming out, and you can see some of it spilling over in the mainstream. They're talking about, some of these indictments, I think, on a couple of news channels, but they're being very vague. It's almost like a 30-second plug while they go into sports and really hype up sports right after they give you this crazy bombshell.
Oh yeah. Well, we are at the 30, going on a 35-minute mark. We'll wrap this up. We'll probably maybe do another one here later on this evening. We got some other stuff to talk about and go over. I don't know. That was interesting.
Well, I definitely think,
on the fly.
Wrapping it up, I definitely think that.
Yeah, give your final.
I think
final thoughts here, folks.
A lot of the negativity I hear is, Trump's he's very he's not very intelligent. He doesn't speak very well, and all that kind of stuff. And I think to myself, this isn't his first rodeo, folks. He's done reality TV. He's done the construction. He's done many different fields, and so I don't think that somebody of that that has that much means is going to blindly step into something. And I think that this is coming out, and when it starts revealing itself, that there's stuff set in place to where if any time military intelligence can take over. And this is huge because that means every other president had the ability to do this, to do the right thing when the right thing came along, but chose not to. They had the powers to do it. They had the powers to enforce injustice, to squash evil, but they didn't. They chose not to. And so for the first time, these powers have been enacted. And these have been around since, what, 1947, 1953? These are quite old laws that are still in the books, but nobody wants to pull them out and be like, what you're doing is treasonous. So
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful to see what's coming in the next month. I know that there's something this next few days that I'm kind of seeing what's going to be happening. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm glad to be back in the studio for sure talking about this.
Man.
And, you know, shooting from the hip is always a kind of a good thing because I think that's the next progression on anything. You're going to start covering what's happening now. You see this, we're going back to post that was last year that's having relevance to today.
And that's what I would close it up on as well, that to drain this swamp, folks, it's going to take exactly what's happening. It would take everything that's going on, a well-devised plan, almost like they take down a mob. Back in the day, we didn't really, a lot of us young folks and people that are, 45, 50 and under, we haven't seen a lot of that, but there was some, the Gaudis in the late 90s, I think. And they typically come in and you see mass arrests, like an exodus on one day. And they're going to do that in a cabal type thing. They're saying half the politicians, 70% would have had to go to jail, not because they all were really devious, evil people, but because they were blackmailed. The little things they had done in their personal lives away from Congress even were probably dug into, found out, and used to their advantage, or set up in circumstances to take too good of deals that shouldn't have happened, and then they were exposed for it and blackmailed. These people have been set free according at a certain point in time months ago. Lots of them have flipped. They're still playing the role. A good investigation was going to lead to some people flipping, some people signing deals, getting a little exoneration, and not get charged to help the overall bigger mission, expose more names, lead to other paths. The ones that are truly at the heads are going to be the ones that suffer, go to jail and prisons, or treason charges. So it's been a heck of a ride, man. It would have had to been really, really well thought out. So, man, we can only watch it unfold. Like Ben was saying, we could only see this kind of unravel like it is. So we both are going to probably leave it on that. I mean, what do you?
I agree. Interesting that Gitmo is still there.
No,
and
exactly.
That's where,
still operational.
Still, that's where treason. That's where terrorists and treasonous individuals go. So it's. I'm hopeful. I'm excited, and we'll see what happens.
Well, like we've had many discussions. This is how it would have to happen, folks. We all banged our heads. I've 20 years of research going into on all of this. I was worried, scared that the only way this could ever happen, I was like, man, a normal man, he'd be deemed this. It was like I never thought of this scenario that could be happening. If this is what's happening, this is probably about the only way I can make it. And to happen in maybe 2 years' time, if even.
It's like light speed. It's like there's no way. You're right. It's gone so large that now the adage of you can one
this
man
might not
could
be
make a
the
difference.
worldwide thing, but pretty close. A big chunk, a big 75%. There might still be some local corruptions, but heads of these things would be cut off probably.
Well, once you cut the head off the snake,
they could still be operational locally and be like, well, I'll rise to be that head now. Like the little guy that was collecting to take to these, now he don't have to take no more, but he's holding.
Yeah.
So it might not take out worldwide, was what we're talking about here, folks. I think it's going to put a huge dent. Enough that people locally would be able to take care of the local problem, possibly. So,
well, and I hope it's also like yourself and others. It makes you a little bit more aware. Maybe your wokeness level comes up a little bit more. You're more aware of not only your surroundings, your local government, what your state's doing, what your local sheriff is doing. Do you live in city limits? Do you live in the country? Being aware of where you live at. The midterms are coming up. We all talked about
Good
how
point.
does your vote make a vote, and I want a vote makes a vote. Well, right now coming up, start looking into your local stuff, because that's
where it starts, folks. That's where it helps the
amen
most.
to that, yeah.
Start there, and you can only, but we've seen it. We're seeing a shift. We're seeing a shift in the news. We're seeing more and more things come out. All we can do now, folks, don't expect a lot from Q. Honestly, personally, I don't care to see any more story and readings that I have to wait for. I'm ready to see
The
action.
live event. I'm
Yeah.
ready. I'm like, live action now. A live action.
Best we
handcuffs
can
and-
do is go back and reaffirm a few good things like we did, and that's exactly what we did. So, all right, I'm gonna leave it on that, folks. There's nothing new. Looked at a few tweets, and we're not going to read any there. There's nothing. We did a good show. We're at 40 minutes, so I'm going to close it out. We're both still on the screen here. I'll shut her down that way. I would say God bless, Godspeed, and good evening to each and every one of you out there. And just stick to, hey, don't take what we say here for a fact and for, zero having to go anywhere else and check. Listen to what we say with a grain of salt. Verify it. Prove it. Listen to as much as you can, as many
your
people
own
as you can,
research
and read as much as you can. Do your own research. Come to your own technical, best frame of thought, and what your gut sits right with, and you typically won't be wrong. But do that research for sure. Ben,
Yeah, no, that's I again have a good old time. I'm glad to be back in the studio. So.
glad to have you, and you'll be back here soon.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Summer months are coming. We got a little bit more schedule worked out with everybody due to just life. So we don't blame anyone. When they can come, they come. And plus just some technical difficulties, but you're working on that as well. So
yeah, for sure. So
all right, folks. Again, this is a Patriot Hour update. Thanks for tuning in. Please, give us a thumbs up, like, share, comment. Definitely comment. That's been a huge thing for the channel. We love the comments. That you got any good info on what we've went over, drop it down below and leave your links. You can do everything that you've been doing. It's been great. We really appreciate that. So, all right, we'll see you here back real soon.